Welcome to another edition of the Culture Show. Today we have a special guest, Nicole Chilaka-Ukpo. Welcome to the show, Nicole. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm fine. Thank you so much for having me.
We are so blessed to have you. You know, I came across your YouTube video, Why Are So Many White Women Jealous of Black Women? First of all, why don't you tell us a little background about yourself and then tell us what made you create this video?
As of today, I'm 30 years old. I'm a mother to three children. My husband is Nigerian. We've been married for more than 13 years now. Actually, I started doing TikTok like a year ago. So there was a video of a Black woman. She was just showing her face. The name is actually Wow Hadia. That's her TikTok name. So she said, "Why do you all hate Black women so much?" So I was like, I just stitched the video and I said, as a white woman growing up in a predominantly white society, I can tell you that it's jealousy. That was just what I said. So before I knew it, the video blew up and people were like, what do you mean? You know, can you specify? And TikTok only allows you to do 30 seconds, 60 seconds videos. So I made a YouTube video about it. That was like last year, November. So I explained and I gave historical facts as in why most white women or a collective society of white people are in fact jealous of Black people, and particularly Black women. That was actually just the background. That's how it happened.
Wow.
So you mentioned in your video about the roll farthingale, otherwise known as the bum roll, and how it was used to give the appearance of like a bigger bottom. Why do you think that Black women are looked down on for having a bigger bottom and white women are not when they get implants or butt lifts?
Well, it all boils down to white supremacy, to a system of white privilege, like a Black woman being demonized for everything she naturally is, but a white woman in the same at the same time, maybe even the same space, being like looked down upon or even discriminated for who she is, and then a white woman being praised for who she became by surgery is literally the definition of white privilege. That's something that only white people can do and can practice and can inherit, So that's just it, yeah.
Absolutely.
So Nicole, you talked about, in your interview, you talked about a lot of things that are going on in the U.S. You talked about what happened with George Floyd. Can you compare racism in Germany to racism in the United States? Is it similar? Is it different? Would you compare that?
Okay, like first of all, I'm a white person, yeah? I'm socially seen as a white woman, so I reap the benefits and the privileges of a white person. So I do not experience racism. So I'm not necessarily in the position to define how racism affects Black people and their lives. But at the end of the day, racism is racism everywhere. And if Black people are free globally, but the United States, they are not free. Like if Black people are oppressed in one country, they are oppressed everywhere, So the system of racism was created by white people in Europe. So the American racism is, from what my belief or what my knowledge is more like in your face. It's like, they can stop you on the road. They can, like police people have the power to kill a Black person and go scot-free. They have the KKK. They have that really in your face racism. Meanwhile, in Europe, it's like you might be sitting alone in the bus, nobody will even near you. They will not give you a job or an apartment or a doctor's appointment, and they will not make it obvious that it's racism. You know that they don't treat you well or they don't treat you equal because you're Black, but they don't want to be called racist. They are always like, racism belongs to the right-wing corner. I'm not racist. I don't have a problem with Black people. But at the same time, they will be like, oh, we don't want foreigners. We don't want this. We don't want that, It's more hypocritical, I think.
Absolutely. Do you think that it's cultural appropriation for white women to wear weaves and braids that Black women are so, discriminated against, like in the workplace or, just walking down the street?
Yeah, it is. Without a doubt, it is. But in my video, I also spoke about that. When I'm in Germany, which is a white country, I used to wear braids back in the days because I think it's beautiful. I still think it's beautiful, But I came to realize that I cannot wear something and get praised for. Somebody that created it cannot be free to express themselves. That's not right. So, but on the other hand, when we travel to Nigeria, like my husband is of the Igbo tribe. So during Christmas, and we always travel to Nigeria during Christmas, women of the family, they go and do Christmas hair. That's how they call it in our family. I'm not sure if it's like that with all Nigerians, but that's what I learned in more than 30 years in this family. So there is not a room for me to be like, oh no, I'm not going to do my hair, because then I think it would be disrespectful. I've had this topic with my sister-in-laws that live in Canada and America. And they're like, when you go home, you cannot be like, I'm not going to do my hair. I'm not going to wear the family outfit, because when I go to my family, my husband's family, I am coming home to the family, So it's an honor for me to participate in their cultures while I'm in their environment, It's a very thin ice, but it's still cultural appropriation to me.
For myself, my father, after him and my mother divorced, he married an Italian woman. So I've experienced this, and I know Chey has experienced interracial relationships as well. Tell us some of, you're married to an African man and that you just mentioned about from a member of the Igbo tribe. Tell us some of the blessings and some of the challenges that you've personally faced in interracial relationship.
As a white person, you are seen, society will look at you like, oh, she stooped so low to get married to a black man, to even have children that are now unclean. And it's still happening today. Like, it's very much still, my last child is just 2 years. So there was no situation when I gave birth and in the hospital, he wasn't questioned if he's the father. He was literally next to me while these babies were brought out of my body. They all have his last name. We all have his last name, of course. So they still asked him, is this the father of your children? Like, do they all have the same father? Then a funny thing is, our first son is 12 now, and our second son is just going to be 5 in June. So their age gap is really big. So people automatically assume that Jeff is not Raymond's father, that I just met him that early, that he became a father figure to Raymond. These are things that, to me, that might sound stupid, but to me, I wish my children would not marry white people. Not because all white people are bad, but because all white people benefit from racism, which includes me. I want my children to be safe, because there is no room in society for them to claim mixed. There is no room for them to claim their mother's white privilege. There is no room for them to claim who they truly ethnically are. So I think marrying a white person is just going to dilute their beautiful African heritage. And then they are going to have little white children running around that think they can say the N-word because their father is half black. I mean, that alone kind of like, but at the end of the day, I'm not the one to decide. I think interracial relationships are just like, they come with challenges like every other relationship too. But I think in 95% of the cases, the white person is just the dangerous part of the relationship.
Yeah, I've definitely come across that where I am too dark for, the white side of my family. My grandfather's actually German. He was born and raised in Germany.
Wow.
And like on my, black side, it's like you're too light. So you really have to walk between the worlds and not fit in anywhere really. So it can be a very difficult thing. And especially if for, me, myself being mixed, and then I have gone out of that, that kind of norm right there where it's either black or white. And like my interracial relationship was with an Asian person, and that came with its own, racism and stigmatism behind it. So it's definitely a very interesting, life to lead when you are mixed.
Yeah.
And I always take the approach from a historical approach about, out of Africa movement, that we all human beings descended out of Africa. So degrading Africa is degrading humanity itself, our origins. It's like a case of the tree branch growing so strong only to hate its roots, right? Yeah. So and that's how I always explain things in my seminars when I teach about ancient Africa, is that we all have stock in the African culture because we all descended from there.
Why do you think that white women are obsessed with tanning, but shame the people who are naturally the color they're trying to get to?
When you, for example, now we know China is a world market, right? China, we know a lot of products come from China. For example, let's use an iPhone, okay? But there are many rip-offs of iPhones that still have good qualities, but they will never be an iPhone, okay? Mm-hmm. So there are many rip-offs of Black people, but they will never be Black people. Like, when you see a Black woman and you're like, damn, I wish I could have that hair, that body, that shape, that whatever, you try so hard to be like her, but deep down, you will nenever be that. Because once you stop tanning, you go back to being white as paper, So that once you stop your blackfishing, blackfacing, once you stop it, you become who you don't want to be like. So it's a deeply rooted self-hate that makes us hate other people. You know that term when they say, if you are great, you have no reason to hate? Yeah, and white people know that we are not that great, so we have every reason to hate because we've seen all these years we have done and done. We are counting 600 years of oppression, systematic oppression, and Black people are still shining. Black people are still growing stronger every day. Do you think that doesn't disturb us? That makes us angry. We are like, we have done every possible thing. We colonized Africa. We neo-colonized Africa. We exploit the motherland up till today. We've set up systems of divisions, of systematic racism and oppression, and they're still there, So they're like, what else can we do to destroy these people? Because we want to be them, but we can never be them,
Yeah. Do you think it's better to say destroy or exploit?
Well, exploitation is the same. Like, you cannot exploit without destroy. You can't destroy without exploit. It goes hand in hand, Just like white people came up with colorism to divide Black people, which is literally the sister of racism, they go hand in hand. Right. So it all goes together. It all boils down to the white man.
Mm-hmm. When you came out with this video, what type of feedback did you get from the white community, so to speak?
They actually, to my giant surprise, there were a lot of, well, not a lot, there were quite some white, especially women, that did agree to my content, and they were like, yeah, it's true. I have Black friends, and when I see them, I am jealous. I want to be what they have. I want to have what they have. Even if it's just a tiny bit of what they naturally have. But the biggest part of it was a lot of hatred, I even got death threats of people telling me, we are still going to get you and we'll make you stop talking and all that. But that doesn't move me anymore. So.
Yeah. A friend of mine, Jane Elliott, when she came on the show, she mentioned the same thing, and I know because I'm an African historian and teaching about ancient Africa and ancient Egypt being a Black African civilization. For those who don't know, I get all types of hate mail, and still to this very day, there's people who posted up under my book saying this is Afrocentric nonsense and all of that stuff. So I've experienced what you've experienced, my friend.
So even the North Africans, the North Africans are an entire problem on their own. The fair skin, the pale skin, the people of color that are not Black, not Africans, they are a whole problem on their own. I'm sorry to call it problem, but it is what it is, Yeah. Like, they think the fairer your skin, the better. Some of them even proudly claim Arabian heritage, which is literally claiming heritage, which is brainwashed nonsense, yeah. So it's very difficult.
I think, you know what, when it comes to Egypt, right? There was an invasion in like the 7th century for the Arabian invasion, right, into Egypt when they conquered Egypt, so to speak. So they're not wrong for saying that they're of Arabian descent, because a lot of them are.
Yeah, but why are they? I mean, they are not because they were like, hey, why don't you come over, have some chai and some couscous, let's hang out together. No, they are not. That's not how it happened. Right. So when I see North Africans claiming Arabian history or Arabian heritage, it is giving me very much oppressor vibes. It's like you are claiming what you not naturally are. That's literally like you claiming to be French. Just because you were colonized by the French doesn't make you French.
Exactly.
Especially because the Arabians don't want North Africans. They don't care.
That's true. That's true. They want the resources. That's about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love Jane Elliott, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah, she's good. She's a good person. Shout out to Jane.
So, have you heard of Martina Big?
Why? Why are we bringing this up? Why are you doing this? I don't know. I don't know who you're talking about. I don't know.
I just wanted your take. Like, for those who don't know, Martina Big is a German woman. I believe she was born in Luxembourg. But she is most known for changing her entire appearance from a white woman to a black woman by getting implants. I think she had somewhere between 23 and 27 surgeries to accomplish this. She's also been injecting melanin in her skin to give her a very dark appearance. So my question to you really was, do you think she went too far with the melanin injections?
She went too far with everything. She looks like a dead mummy. She looks absolutely terrible. I'm not even sorry. Like when I saw her first, I commented on her Facebook, and then she straight up blocked me. Until this day, she hasn't unblocked me, which I'm not sad about because I'm kind of grateful that I don't have to see her content. But she's in Germany. She's all over the news from time to time. Whenever she does something new, she will be like calling all these trashy news channels and be like, hey, I'm having another breast implant surgery. I'm having this, I'm having that. When she went to Kenya to go and claim to be a Kenyan from then on, people escorted her. She got paid for that in German TV. So, yeah.
Wow. I thought she started to say that she was, what was it, Swahili? Because didn't she change her name to like a Swahilian name, like Malika Kuba?
She did?
Like yeah, she officially changed her name, which she claimed baptized to Malika Kubwa. I don't know if I said that right, but I thought she got inducted into the Swahilian tribe or something.
I don't know. I didn't. I best believe I don't follow her up. I don't know. I really don't know. But she's absolutely insane. She's sick. It's funny when people tell me that I'm exaggerating with things, and then people like her are walking around freely, and white people are like, oh, let her live her life. She doesn't hurt nobody. She hurts a lot of people, but she doesn't know. Yeah.
When we talk about Black miseducation, the miseducation of ancient Egypt, of African history, throughout the African continent, you find a lot of African people don't even know that they're descended from kings and queens. What do you think that mentality comes from? How has Europeans infiltrated the school systems even on the African continent?
Well, when 1884 we held the Berlin Conference, where all the European countries were like invited to slice Africa like a cake. They went to Africa and what they saw wasn't what they wanted to see. That's why they needed to come up with something to dehumanize Black people, to demonize Black people, to make them known or make them believe that they are not equal, that they are not civilized, that they are not worthy. So to do that, you of course need to first of all destroy what those people have set in place. That is why, look at the Mali Empire, the Bini Kingdom, even the Bini Wall that was a lot bigger than the Chinese wall, is nowhere to be found today.
10 times the size, by the way. 10 times.
10 times. Yeah. So you can imagine, and the Chinese wall can be seen from the universe. So you can imagine how big that must have been. So, like, if I go to somebody's house and I'm anyway insecure about myself, and I see they literally have a castle, I want that at all costs. So I have to destroy everything around that castle to make it look like these people actually need my help. That's white savior complex, letting these people think that the white people are superior, that we have anything or everything that Black people should be having. Meanwhile, you can't get color from no color. So there's no way we could have we could have achieved anything half of what Black people have been achieving. So the miseducation of Africans is to ensure the exploitation of Africans. Because if Africans wake up and realize that white people ain't shit, that's the downfall of the Western world. I'm telling you, you know. So, yeah.
So what's next for you particularly, and what do you feel is your purpose? You can start with the first question first.
Next, I just keep talking my talk. I have no particular plan in mind or whatever. Well, my purpose is, first of all, I'm trying to be a good mother to my children, and that comes with a lot of challenges, because socially they will never be seen equal to me. There's a lot of pain in this journey, realizing that before I am even their mother, I'm a white woman, you know. So I'm just trying to continuously educate myself, and especially other white people, so that hopefully one day this system as we know it can be dismantled.
What are some ways do you think we can get people to understand that the features that are naturally born on women of color are just as beautiful as the features of everybody else? Like there's no one race that is more beautiful than the other. Everyone has their own individual beauty about them. You know, we really want to try to close this big racial divide and get to the point where everyone can be seen as human.
But you know, from my perspective, it's not a Black person or a person of color's job to beg for validation or to make white people see their beauty, because that beauty has been there long before we even existed. So the problem is with the mindset of white people. This comes together with setting beauty standards that are absolutely ridiculous, that even most white women cannot even ever get close to. You know, when you see the runway models, when they make use of Black people, then they make use of those that are as close to white as possible, or the one they can exoticize to an extent that they are like, oh, then they always come up with dark skin, beautiful chocolate skin, and the fetishization of the Black woman, you know, that helps beauty standards being held up, even though she doesn't fit those standards, she's still being used within the system of those standards. That's why you see people like Lupita Nyong'o getting an Oscar for acting a slave, which is the most ridiculous thing you could ever think of. We did all these things to your ancestors. Now we made you act a movie to show us what we've been knowing all this while, because we know what we did. And then a white institution will tell you, give you a pat on the shoulder and be like, you did well. You acted a slave so well that we are giving you white validation. When it comes to beauty standards, I'm all for segregation. I'm sorry to say it, but beauty should be in the hands of Black people and people of color. And there should be segregation in a way of, they should have their own runways, their own beauty lines, their own things where they can have safe spaces that benefits only Black women or women of color without having this white invasion over and over again.
And shout out to Rihanna, because Rihanna actually did accomplish that, where on the launch of her Fenty makeup line, she is the only person or, you know, makeup producer to launch an array of different
49 shades.
Yeah, from extremely light to all the way, you know, like dark skin, and the models that she used, they come in all different sizes and shapes. And I absolutely love, like, the darkest shade she has a few models that represent her, you know, the foundation, and I absolutely love them. I'm like, I want their skin so bad. It's so beautiful.
Do you know Juvia's Place?
No, what is it?
It's a Black-owned company in America. Actually, 2 Nigerian women started it. They're all over the place. They've grown, like, in the last 3 years, they like exploded, and their products are so good, and they are purely Black-owned, and their advert is always focusing on women of color. You every now and then you see a white woman, but they're focusing. When I think about Juvia's Place, the only thing I think about is Black people, you know, and that's what I'm talking about. I mean, you can make makeup for white people, you can have white people as models. I mean, it doesn't matter, but I would like to get to a point whereby, just like Fenty, we are attaching Fenty to a Black woman automatically, you know. So I wish we could attach other big name brands and know this is Black owned, this comes from Black people, because it has such a big impact. also for the representation of the future generations,
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Rihanna. What's that name? Throw that name out there one more time of that.
Juvia's Place.
Juvia's Place. Okay, that's, make sure y'all go support Juvia's Place. Sister, thank you so much, Nicole, for being here with us. We greatly appreciate you. Why don't you throw out where the people can find you? Throw that out there for the people so they can find you if they need to.
My Instagram is just Nicole_Chilaka-Ukpo in one word. My YouTube is White Silence Kills. The same as my TikTok, and my Facebook is currently on ban for another 16 days. But after that, I'm also reachable on Facebook.
All right. So this has been a real treat. We had Nicole on the show. Make sure you check her out on Instagram and on YouTube. This is Kulu and Chey signing off on the Kulture Show, IBP Media. One love to everybody.